Hi. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can become an ESG quant. So ESG is making a buzz in the world of finance. If you're already working in finance, I'm quite sure that you are already aware of how ESG is becoming so important in everything we do in finance. But if you're not from finance and you're an outsider, you are new to finance, or you are looking to make a career in finance but not yet working in finance, you probably haven't heard about what ESG is. Well, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. But I think the most important part of this three terminology, the three terms, is the environmental part, right? How the change in climate will have an impact in the world of finance. That's the most important thing. Obviously, there's a social aspect to it. There's a governance aspect to it. But social and governance, they're somewhat less important in ESG. The most important part is the environmental part, and how that is going to transform finance, all kinds of finance in the coming time. And almost all banks are now are hiring ESG analysts, ESG quants, or risk management people specializing in ESG. Not just the banks, even insurance companies, wealth management firms, even trading firms, rating agencies, even they hire ESG quants. So, if you're looking for a career in finance, this is one area you could explore. This is upcoming, actually. It's quite new, upcoming. Not many people are skilled in ESG related activities. In fact, barely you will find people in finance who have any expertise in the field of ESG, because ESG has never been part of finance ever since we have been doing finance in the real world. It's perhaps for the first time where the environmental impact is being given so much of importance in finance. I'm going to talk about okay, where is going to have the impact and what it is all about and how you can make the most of it in case you are interested, right? Obviously, there are different other careers in finance, and there is no reason why you should only be focusing on this. But in case you are interested, I think you must give it a shot. Well, anything you do in finance, whether it's lending, whether it's trading or managing money, that will get impacted because of changes happening around us in terms of how climate is changing, right? And I'm going to talk a bit about that, right? For instance, we are moving to green energy, right? A lot of the industries are still using the fossil fuels, right? Like coal and petroleum and so on and so forth, and they're not prepared yet to move to green energy, right? How will that impact their profitability? Some of them might go bankrupt completely, right, if there is a policy change and so on. It could also be that some companies who are moving to green energy, because the cost might be very high, right? If you're moving to more renewable energy, the cost might be really, really high, right? Even they may have challenges regarding the profitability, right? So it can affect either ways, right? Or in both ways, right? It can giving more importance to ESG can decrease your profits or sometimes could increase the profit. And assessing that is very important when it comes to lending, right? So it does import it makes a huge impact when it comes to assessing the credit worthiness of the client, especially the corporate clients. The retail clients probably less, except in some areas, for example, in mortgages, right? If the bank is giving loan to someone for a house to purchase a house, but that house may be in a zone where you could have an earthquake, you could have a flood because of climate changes and so on. How is that going to impact the bank? Obviously, in negative way, right? So that's something to be taken into account. But more than anything, I think the biggest impact people expect in the field of finance is lending to large corporates, the big corporates, right? And that's where banks are facing big challenge as to how to assess. the impact of environmental change or climate change, uh, on the profitability of these companies. And that's not easy at all, because you simply don't have climate related data with the banks. In many countries, there's no regulation as such to report on, your climate related activities. For instance, many corporates in many different jurisdictions, they are not supposed to report whether they're using, coal or petroleum, or they're using, more green energy, right? There's no data to sort of verify if the, the information getting from these corporates is actually correct or not. That's a big challenge. Another big challenge. The many other big, many other challenges out there. For instance, how to you assess the impact of it in the credit process, right? That's something banks are still exploring, and it has repercussions as well. For instance, there will be repercussion when it comes to you know um, deciding on the lending, on the pricing, on various risk management activities. For example, stress testing, that might increase the capital requirement for the bank, and that is not a nice thing, by the way. Capital requirement is nothing but just a reserve, right? The bank has to set aside. There's always a challenge to raise capital. So if banks have to set aside more capital, then they have very little money to invest, or in more risky businesses. So that's another big challenge. It's not going to just affect the lending side of business; it's also going to affect the trading side of business as well. For example, on the yeah, on trading on different equities, bonds, as well as commodities, and so on and so forth. um, Climate risks will play a big role. In fact, many asset management firms are hiring very specialized ESG people to do research. I came across even some profiles where they're hiring ESG analysts, and these are like asset management firms like BlackRock and Vanguard and Fidelity, State Street. These firms are hiring such people, but also the banks. Insurance companies have been hiring climate people for quite some time. I think longer than the banks, and insurance companies have also more experience working on climate data. Right? The catastrophic modeling is one such type of work the insurance companies do, which is similar to what banks do when it comes to assessing the climate risk, although it differs quite a lot. But there is some similarity. So, and insurance companies have been doing this for quite some time. How do you make a career out of it, right? If you are doing your master's degree in any finance field, you could become a ESG analyst, either working for a consulting firm, bank, or fintech, or you may be working for trading or asset management firms, research firms, even credit rating firms such as Moody's and S&P. They hire ESG researchers, simply because they're also coming up with ESG scorecard. The building ESG scorecard, like they give credit rating to different corporates and SME clients. These companies are also building scorecard to give ESG score or ESG rating to each of these companies. And I think that those ratings will then be used for assessing yeah, the ESG risk of a client by various banks, right? So that's something upcoming. It's already happening at a very rapid rate in various places, especially in Europe. I'm not sure about in Asia, but certainly in Europe, it's quite a big thing. ECB is giving way too much importance to this, and banks which are not complying with the ESG requirements are being fined. So there will be a lot of work, and a lot of the work will also be going to India for sure. If you go to LinkedIn and search ESG analyst job, you will find many actually, right? So you could do a bit of search on that as to how what the requirements are. But some of them could be, having good understanding of, environmental or climate data. Most finance professionals have no clue about it. I personally do not have much experience with, climate data and how climate data can be used in the field of finance. I also don't have, the experience of working with. I think most of the, experienced people in the field of finance have barely any experience with this. Very new and upcoming. And something is new and upcoming, it's actually good for the newcomers. Actually, you can really grow very fast, right? So really good actually if you are willing, if you are starting out, right, just look for a job in this area. Regarding certification, there is something called SICR, I think, by GARP, the agency that conducts FRM exams. So you can also pursue that, and there are also other climate risk related certifications out there. If you go online, you can find. In my course also there is a module on ESG and climate risk. It's the part that I have covered is more theoretical, um, but less applied. um, yeah, so this is one. And if you are coming from climate science also, right, if you have studied, let's say, geophysics or geology or geography, many people from these background, I see they have quite good knowledge about climate science, right, and they have used climate data in their research work. You may not be aware, but your skill will be in demand in the future, right? In almost all areas, there will be ESG professionals working, not just in finance, but even in non-finance, people will be working. And finance is certainly one area where ESG is going to disrupt things. Your skills will be extremely, extremely useful. So be aware of that. And if you are coming from, environmental science, environmental economics, or geography, geology, geophysics, that kind of academic area, then you could also pursue a career in finance in the ESG side, right? Otherwise, also if you're coming from CA background, MBA finance, MSc economics, MA economics, statistics, or just any engineering science background, you could also make a career as a ESG quant. If you're already working in finance for a couple of years, you could also make a move, because this is an upcoming area. Maybe there will be plenty of opportunity to learn. You will be learning as to how to incorporate ESG in, building PD, LGD, EAD model, building market risk model, building operational risk models, how to validate models from an ESG point of view, how to incorporate ESG in stress testing. Um, yeah, so plenty of things to learn actually. So one area to explore. Actually came across a couple of these yeah, job description today on LinkedIn India, and I see there are many companies hiring. Barclays is hiring. Um, I think Crystal is hiring. S&P Global is hiring. Goldman Sachs is hiring. KPMG. Even Google is hiring. Surprisingly, um, yeah. So quite some opportunities actually. Um, so have a look. If you have questions, as always, let me know in the comment section. And thank you, guys.